has always been open.
The door's always been open.
It's never been closed. I'm like, no.
Unless you're indigenous.
I'm like,
unless you're an indigenous American.
Right, and I'm like,
you came here from somewhere else.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? America has always been open, man. I'm like, oh my God. I was having a conversation with this.
They say they're gonna steal your jobs. Oh, you're gonna, so you're going out there mowing lawns? Is what they're trying to say.
Right. I was talking to this Native American, and he got upset because I wear a Cleveland Indian hat.
Okay.
And he said my hat offended him, and I said, why? You're not Indian. You're Native American. And he goes, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I said, sir, you grew up on a reservation, correct? He goes, yeah, of course I did. I'm Indian. I said, that doesn't mean you're Indian, man.
No, that's a name that the Spaniards gave them because they thought they were in the West Indies.
He goes, wait a minute. I said, sir, how old are you? He goes, I'm 47. I said, okay, do me a favor. I said, the reservation, I said it was a placement for the positions for non-Americans.
Yeah.
And he goes, non-Americans? I'm like, yeah, that's what it says. He said, I don't believe that. I said, okay, well, look it up.
Yeah,
I said, Google it.
Check it out and challenge. Yeah, this was,
and man,
this was how white folks back in the day wanted to, like, well, what are we going to do with these folks? We can't kill them. We have to. Where they want them to assimilate. So maybe it was no different than what the English tried to do to the Scottish back in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe we can breed them out, or
But here's the thing, and I told him this.
It's actually why we didn't annex all of Mexico during the war between the U.S. and Mexico.
There was too many of them there.
They didn't know, because those crusty white dudes didn't know what to do with 4 million Hispanic people, and they didn't want them in power.
Well, the Mexican people Mexican people are mixed with like 3 or 4 different races of people.
Oh yeah, you got Spaniard, you got various different local, their own
indigenous people. Yeah. I mean,
and when you go to Mexico, you go to Western Mexico, you go to Eastern Mexico, you can see there's truly cultural differences.
Oh, of course, yeah.
There's what book was it? The book that I read.
Oh, they finally tore down that building, huh?
Yeah, they did, but they're getting ready to put a brand new strip mall. That was the old Boston Market there.
Yeah.
There's a book called How to Hide an Empire. I did it. I read it. I do a lot of Audible books.
Audible, okay.
And it's basically about how the United States hid all of its imperialistic doings under the guise of we're just doing it because we're a democratic free country, right?
Right.
And it talks about how they were treating Puerto Ricans with birth control without them even knowing about it. They basically tested all birth control through Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. But it also really dives deep into why we didn't even negotiate with Japan when we had an opportunity to negotiate with Japan pre-World War II.
Yeah.
Because Japanese people were considered less than human because they weren't lily white.
Yeah.
Even within my own family, I can't have these conversations because I grew up in a conservative setting.
Yeah.
But I also realize that we're all humans, and all of us are from different places in this world.
Right.
But yeah, it's just reading and dealing with some of this stuff, and then also when I was a manager all through last year. Yeah. I have 16 different walks of life. Men, women, all different races.
Yeah.
And here I am, 40-something white dude, right?
Yeah.
And how do you help these folks climb the corporate ladder?
Yeah. Well, like I study land records, military records, census records, national archives, vital statistics, Smithsonian records, anthropology, and I do genealogy. I've been doing it for over 20 years.
Okay.
So, when it comes to the lineage of America, people don't understand this is the ancient land. This is the old land. And so a lot of the stuff that people
there wasn't just one trip coming around from Asia across the land bridge. There's actually even Viking artifacts in Canada, Michigan, Nova Scotia.
Yeah. I mean, because like I said, this is the ancient land. I mean, there are more mummified bodies found in North America than anywhere else on the planet.
Well, yeah, you can't. Those mounds, the mounds that are in like St. Louis area.
Yeah.
Those things. You don't build massive mounds just because you had small tribes of people. That was an organized society.
Right.
It strikes me like there was organized society that all fell apart. And what happens when society falls apart? It fragments and your history's lost.
The mounds in Mississippi, the mounds that were in Utah that they destroyed over thousands of mounds in Utah. It's crazy.
I'll have to look that one up. I didn't know anything about those.
Like King Tut artifacts were found in Idaho. That's where his artifacts were found. They don't tell people about this land. There was so much stuff here. I mean, you're from California. The oldest trees on the planet are the California redwoods.
Yeah.
And those weren't even the oldest ones. They're in America that they cut down.
No, they got rid of all the true old ones.
Yeah, sure did.
My dad lives up near that redwood forest up there in Northern California.
And people like, man, I'm like, so, I mean, like, you don't know nothing about this land. You have a 3rd grade education. You haven't, most people in this country, in America, they don't understand that they like sheep. They don't have no thinking of them for themselves. I
don't disagree, because really everybody is really small scale thinking.
Yeah.
How do I get to Friday?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yep.
Pay my bills.
That's right.
Friday, so that I can go to the ball game.
That's right.
Be reprogrammed.
That's right. But it is what it is. I don't judge.
I also did some, I've done some reading on, like the forest fires that we keep having.
Yeah.
And indigenous folks used to actually do controlled burns.
Yeah.
Because it helped them farm, and it also cleared out the undergrowth, and it made the forest a lot more manageable. So we didn't have to worry about large scale forest fires.
I come from a family that goes back generations of landowners and plantation owners. My grandparents owned the plantation that we still own today.
Okay.
We still have our land, and like I said before, my grandparents, they lived to be close to 100 years old, and my dad is 84 years old today, and now, and when I talk to him about history and like his history, my dad, I said, Dad, when you start hearing about like Africa or whatever, and he said, I didn't start hearing about Africa like until the 80s. I said, the 80s? He goes, yeah, because he said, Dad and Mom and them, they never talked about no Africa. No, they didn't know nothing about no Africa. They always talking about them being Indians. And I said, huh.
Was there like relation to some of the Cherokee?
My grandmother was Anna Cherokee.
Okay.
My grandfather was Creek and Choctaw.
Cherokees they're like, okay, well, if these Europeans, they want us to be more like them, we'll get educated, we'll dress like them, and
the
light.
I know, I see it.
Only to obviously, Andrew Jackson and company and the rest of the politics involved with that sent them.
Yeah, that was the Trail of Tears.
If Andrew Jackson didn't send them,
then you talking about the
Georgia?
You talking about the Indian Removal Act?
Yeah.
I mean, dude. I know all about this stuff, and I get in debates with Native Americans and try to get them to understand. I'm like, look, dude, if you guys were the people that was on the land in the massive, how was it so easily to put you on a reservation?
Disease and division.
Nah. It was I'm telling you, dude. It wasn't that. Trust me, it wasn't that. It was reclassification. That's where it was. That's where the people died. The people died from the stroke of a pen. That's where the Trail of Tears and the Removal Act came into place.
Each agreement, but also the government really separated every tribe from themselves too. And
True.
Encouraged them to fight to do anything.
Yeah, they
it's
did.
No different than Afghanistan today.
Yeah.
Right. Afghanistan's fragmented.
Nice house.
Some of these are really coming along. There's a few investors that have bought some of these.
Yeah.
But just ahead of.
I know these houses. big house.
No, these are big, and they're not crazy on the price side.
Really?
Here. I think these are high 3s, low 4s.
Yeah.
Which 5 years ago was high 2s, low 3s. But
yeah. I'm retired, but you know, I retired when I was 47. I have a lot of real estate properties and rental properties.
Awesome.
I'm looking to buy some more houses, to be honest. You know, on the left or right?
This one to the right.
Okay. This subdivision was built in the 70s?
Yeah. Yeah. This I think this house was 73.
Yeah. Okay.
I've only been here 4 weeks or so. We were in North Dallas for 2 years.
I could tell by the structure that they were built in the 70s.
Oh, it's got good square footage.
Yeah.
It's pier and beam.
Get it, yeah. You're rocking with the man with the plan. When you're rocking with the hustle man.
Come on, keep walking.
Go home. No.
I'll do it.